sun's going down on the first day at sea, on our way to New Zealand via Minerva Reef. I've spoken to some of the guys. They could just hear me on the long distance radio, but they're way ahead of me now.
It was just so good to be back at sea again. I always have a sense of freedom. It's hard to describe, but just a wonderful feeling of liberation every time I head out. And on an evening such as this that was so incredibly beautiful, I just felt at peace and at one with the world.
In case anything happens, Wilson's got his life jacket on. You alright, Wilson?
Yeah, mate.
Hydro's doing a good job. He likes to work into the wind more than in a following wind, so he's having a good time back there today. I've got my soft lock on there. Deck instruments are turned off. Don't need those during the night. I work off computers. And it's just beginning to look very beautiful. It's also getting a little bit cold. Yeah, back under the bimini, it's much warmer. You can tell we're going south, it's getting cold. I'm gonna have to get something warmer for my mate, Wilson, but he never does much work anyway. It's definitely getting cool. Yes, and guess who's pulled first watch tonight? Yep, Wilson. Wrap up warm, mate.
At that point I had to go below to make myself a hot drink. It was definitely getting cold. It was a new experience for me. I hadn't felt like this since sailing around Europe and England. But yep, the cold was a-coming. I was heading south.
We're settling into shipboard life here on Shaddy. Everything's settling in. We've been at sea now for 2 days. We're doing a fair dinkum speed, as they would say in New Zealand or Australia or somewhere like that. Doing 5 knots. It's just dropped a little bit, I can feel it now. We were doing 5.5 knots and have been doing at least 4 to 5 knots most of the trip. Wind dropped a little bit this morning, but picked up again. The boat is fine. I'm not so. I've been feeling quite ill. Yesterday, getting the anchor out, it took an hour and a lot of effort, and there was all the stress and the this and that's of leaving, and not complaining, not moaning, just saying how it is. It knocked 7 bells of crap out of me, and by the time I got to sea I was so tired. Then I had to go through all the reefs, so I've been sleeping an awful lot. I've been feeling quite sick, quite ill, like wanted to throw up. Basically seasickness and tiredness, nothing to worry about, just makes you feel damn awful, that's all. Going into the wind has been brilliant because I've got Hydrovane working really well, 100% behind me. He's keeping us on a steady course, so I've not had to worry about helming the boat. So I've been managing to get quite a bit of sleep below. I've just had my head down. I managed to eat a little bit of food this morning. Had some boiled eggs and some homemade bread, and I just had some salad now. Sorry about the wobbly camera. It's all everything's wobbling at the moment. Including me. Not feeling much better, I gotta say. I'm always a bit crook, as they say somewhere down in New Zealand and Australia. That means ill. For the first few days, a bit queasy. But with this rough weather, it just hadn't been tired. It just knocked me for 6. Right, but all good, getting better. We're not halfway there yet. We lost a lot of time going through the reefs yesterday. It took most of the day. I probably made the mistake of going the wrong way around, but never mind. It's done, it's done. So, all good. boat's bouncing like hell. And I'm waiting on the cruising net. Somebody just...
This is Sailing Vessel Nomad, Whiskey Delta India 6306, initiating the Big Mama's cruiser net. Any emergency traffic, please come now.
That's normal, they always do that first in case anybody's having a problem. This is a typical cruiser net, they call them.
Nothing heard. Let's proceed with the roll call in alphabetical order. If you would please give us your position, correct sailing conditions, your intentions, anything notable that's happened or is happening with you at this time. Expecting to arrive at the entrance to the reef around dawn or something like that. So, the entrance into Minerva Reef looks like right now about 2 or 3 a.m. And we'll then heave to there waiting for daylight. Okay, update, White Shadow. Barry, you want to try and get through?
Yeah, this is White Shadow. Quick radio check. Can you actually hear me? Over. White Shadow, White Shadow, White Shadow. Are you receiving? Over.
Yes, I can hear you. I can barely make you out. So tell me the most important stuff first.
Okay, all good on board. Quite rough, bouncy. I'm 170 miles to run, 170 miles to North Minerva, 170 miles, all good on board. Over.
Okay, I heard all good, and could really not make out the rest of it, Barry.
Yeah, I hear you clearly. I've just had a little fiddle there. I don't know if that's any better. I was having problems with the radio before, so it's something to work on. But I can hear you, so I welcome any weather forecast. Any weather forecast. Over.
Basically, he's telling us to hole up here at Minerva for 5 to 7 days. There's a system that is generating fresh southerly winds between Minerva and New Zealand, as expected. So that if we left even tonight or tomorrow morning from Minerva, we would run for the
Blowing up a little bit, and I'm trying to make a decision. The night's coming on, and it got just a little bit too much there for... Whoa! We're bouncing. It got a little bit too much just for a second, and get down. Yeah, trying to decide whether to take some mainsail down, put a reef in. It was almost overwhelming the boat, but the thing is, I'm close on, I'm close hauled. My course is up there, and the wind is like just there, so I'm like squeezing it to get up. And I think if I depower the sails a bit, we might not make such good headway in this sea. On the other hand, I think she's over canvas at the moment. Well, for me, I think anyway. We're bouncing. It's getting quite cold. We're approaching the Tropic of Cancer, I think it is. Is that the southern one? Where you actually leave the tropics. So we're actually leaving the tropics at this point. And it is getting colder. But at the same time, still feeling the queasy. Managed to get some salad down me. Not feeling too good at all. I don't really need this. I just want to go down and sleep in my bunk. But I have to make sure the boat's safe. What do? The thing is, if I take the sail down, or put a reef in it rather, it's a hell of a job getting it back up again. And with its tender state that it is, it's more than likely going to rip if I mess with it. What should I do?
By the next morning, things had quietened down considerably. The wind had dropped. The sea was a little bit rolly, but completely fine. But during the night, we'd had a couple of things happen. a few things had loosened up on deck, so I don't normally like going out on the foredeck early in the morning before I had my coffee, but I had to do it, had to make sure everything was secured nice and tight. And then once that was done, I thought I might as well check everything else while I was up forward, including the rigging, the anchor, and there was a few lashings that were a bit loose, so decided to tidy those up. As you can see, the anchor itself does need to be replaced. It's definitely on the list of things to do. As I walk around the boat, I'm constantly making mental notes of jobs that need to get done. Then it was back to the safety of the cockpit in time for another bit of bad weather.
Beginning of the third day, sailing down to the Minerva Reef en route to New Zealand. Last night I had to take a reef in the main. I shortened her up, made her into a smaller sail because the wind picked up quite substantially, and there's what I thought was a tropical squall, and it did turn out to be a fair bit of wind. Well, more than a fair bit. For about half an hour I actually ended up hand steering the boat downwind just to sort of wait it out. Then it settled down, shortened sails overnight. I was doing pretty good. We did pretty okay. We did out 60 miles last night, I think, or thereabouts. Today, mixed bag. I put the sail back up again, which is always difficult to do while you're actually moving, but no problems. And had myself a nice wash. Queasiness has gone pretty much, so I had some breakfast, some jam on homemade bread and coffee, followed by cornflakes. So I'm feeling a bit much better, much stronger today. I got over just that horrible feeling I had yesterday. So all's good. I thought there was some whales. I had a sort of smelly, there's a smell in the air when there's whales about. They got bad breath, fishy smell, you know, in the air. Had that, and there was a whole bunch of birds swirling over the water. Bearing in mind the nearest land is a reef, and that's, well, in any direction really, is at least 100 and something miles from here. So all these birds are swirling over the sea, and I'm thinking whales, because you do get them here. This is late in the season and I haven't seen any whales for real. Just a snatch of them, that's it. But my friends on their boat Hdr-as actually banged into one. They ran into one while it was having a sleep. Just last month. But I think the season for whales is ended now. And, I just got that feeling there was some whales here. I just had that feeling. But so I'm up here with the camera, but nothing's happening. But the wind has come back up. We're on course, doing about 4 knots. It's going to be at least a day and a bit more at sea. The other guys who left in front of me by only a few hours have actually got to Minerva Reef this morning. So they did it in 2 and a bit days. It's going to take me 4 and a bit days. That's the difference between a Van der Stadt and a Hdr-as30v that's 50 foot long with lots of sails. Yep. But hey, we're doing good. All right, all good.
Apologies for the wind noise. My microphone has just about had its last. Looking forward to getting some new gear when I get to New Zealand.
Now, I was just looking up ahead. There's some more rainy, dark clouds. So we're looking for some bad weather. The sea's down from what it was. It was really, really, really uncomfortable. It's still roly-poly, but it's nice roly-poliness. It's all nothing much. But the first few days it was not so good.
Having a good passage plan is vital when you're making a voyage from one place to another. However, knowing when you're going to arrive is not always an exact science. In fact, it seldom is. That's of course due to weather, how fast or slow you're sailing at the time. Arriving in daylight hours is also very important. So sometimes you have to readjust your plan. I was about 50 miles off from Minerva Reef, didn't want to arrive in the dark, so decided to slow Shaddy down. This way I would arrive during daylight hours.
This morning, the delights of bacon, beans, mushrooms, and a fried egg. Whoa! Looks absolutely disgusting, but I believe it's going to taste great. You've heard of eggs over easy. Well, this is eggs over messy.
All going to be topped off by Lee and Perrin's Worcestershire sauce. By the way, guys, I haven't got the check for the sponsorship money yet. Minerva Reef is about 27 miles down there, maybe a little bit less now. And I calculated we were going to arrive there at night, about this time. And that wouldn't have been very good because it gets dark at 7, it's about 6:30 now, it's going to be dark in half an hour. So I had to slow the boat down. The plan is to arrive tomorrow morning. There's no way I could have taken the boat through the reef in the dark. That would have been crazy, and there was no way I was going to make it during daylight hours. So I'm what we call just ghosting along. I mean, just literally hardly moving through the water. There was quite a bit of wind earlier on, and I could have done a few knots, but not fast enough to get me down the way here. So we're just ghosting along. It's an odd situation that the wind is coming from the left of the shot as you're looking at it now, but the sail, what I have of it, which is about 2 square meters, 2 square yards, 3 square yards of sail out, is pulled up into wind the wrong way. It's just kind of worked that way. It stops the nose from swinging over to port. Every time it swung to port, it would swing up into the wind and up into the swell. And that's what we don't want. And so it's just kind of working out. It shouldn't be, but it is. The sail is backed up, stopping the bow, swinging up into wind and having us sailing downwind, even though only at about 1.5 knots, which is exactly what I want. Of course, the fact that I don't have the sail up makes it all so easy. I don't have to come on deck tonight. Apart from a bit of swell, this is almost like being an anchor. It's so cool. I'm hoping there's no traffic around here tonight, this close to the reef. I think I'm probably the last boat to leave through this season from Big Mamas and Tongas, so I'm hoping nobody else is going to bang into me tonight. So I'm just going to take it easy and have a can of beer, 1 can of beer and some food, and rest for the night. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please click the notifications bell logo on my channel. That way you'll never miss a new episode. And just to whet your appetite, here's a little clip. I can just start to hear the roar of the water on the reef. It's very unnerving. Reefs and sailing and boats don't go together. This is the bumpiest sea I've come out to.
Dia basco ni baragala buyanga. Perché sengai ogo.
You alright, Wilson?
Yeah, mate.